Getting into aim training is easy. Staying consistent, not so much. And spotting your mistakes, that part might never happen. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the most common aim mistakes players make without realizing it, and show you exactly how to fix them. We'll start with the ones most players share, then go deeper into a few niche problems that could be what's holding you back in your real games. The first common mistake is flick inefficiency. Instead of going straight from target to target, your crosshair curves, zigzags, or hesitates before landing. You can catch this in replays with leading or trailing pass turned on, or by playing line trace in Aimlabs, where you can see the actual line you're drawing with your mouse. Your flick doesn't have to be perfect every time, but building a cleaner, more direct flick means you're getting on target faster, and in a real fight, that gap is often what costs you the kill. Next up is tension mismanagement, and this one shows up when you're tracking. Now, tracking isn't just when you're spraying someone down. Clearing corners counts too, so if you play tactical FPS, this applies to you. Here's the thing, tension isn't just about your grip. It runs through your whole arm. Your arm carries the long movements, your wrist locks onto the target, and your fingertips clean up the small stuff. The most common problem is over-tensing, and it usually starts with squeezing the mouse too hard. It feels like control, especially when a fight gets stressful, but tighter grip actually burns your muscles out faster. Once that happens, your corrections get shaky, your tracking drifts, and you lose precision right when you need it the most. It also builds up over time. Chain a few fights without resetting, and by the third round, your arm is already cooked, before you even take a peek. The other side is under-tensing, where your crosshair just drags behind the target, so going fully limp isn't the answer either. The way to find that balance is through tracking scenarios. If you're overshooting direction changes, you're too tense. If you're lagging behind, increase tension. The real work is noticing when tension creeps in mid-movement and consciously releasing it, not waiting until the fight is over. A lot of players label themselves as a wrist aimer or an arm aimer. And while it's fine to have a dominant style, locking yourself into one and ignoring the rest is where it becomes a problem. Your whole arm is supposed to work together. Your forearm handles the bigger movements, your wrist gets you onto the target, your fingers take care of the fine adjustments. Each part has a job, and when one is being skipped, the others have to overcompensate. If you struggle with large movements, focus on scenarios that push your forearm. If acquiring targets feels off, work on your wrist. If you're missing shots at a longer range or on small targets, that's usually a finger control issue. Figuring out which part is the weak link and training it specifically will get you further than grinding the same playlist and hoping it improves on its own. The mistake with sensitivity isn't just having it too high or too low. It's using one that doesn't match your game, your playstyle, or how much space you're working with. A higher sense suits faster, more reactive situations. A lower one gives you more control for tracking at range. Different games pull you in different directions too, and if your sensitivity is faster than you can comfortably keep up with, your body will start tensing up to compensate, which ties back to what we just covered. The goal is finding one you can consistently control and sticking with it. And if you're changing it every few sessions trying to find something that feels right, that's the actual problem. We have a full video on finding your sensitivity, links in the description. This one connects the last 2 points. Planting your wrist or elbow fixed on the desk. Resting them is fine. It can actually help with stability and pivoting. But when they're locked in place the whole time, you're cutting off your range of motion and forcing other parts of your arm to do work they're not built for. Check yourself while you play. If your wrist or elbow hasn't moved in a while, that's a sign. The goal isn't to float your arm the whole time, just make sure you're using the right part for the situation. Wrist for small to medium angles, elbow for wider turns. Instead of committing to a flick, some players drag their crosshair slowly to the target. It usually comes from not trusting your flicks yet, so you compensate by going slow and steering your way there. The problem is, it's slower, and it's a habit that's hard to break once it sets in. Burst flick is the best scenario for this. If you drag or curve on the way to the target, it counts as a miss. It forces you to actually commit to the movement instead of cheating your way onto the target. Unconfirmed clicks is clicking before your crosshair is on the target. You're firing on instinct instead of confirmation, and you're missing shots you should be hitting. In a real game, that instinct is fine. You don't have time to second guess every click, but in practice, that habit just builds bad accuracy long term. When you're training, aim for around 85% accuracy on static or predictable targets before you start pushing for speed. On evasive targets, around 60% is a reasonable bar. Get comfortable hitting first, then work on hitting faster. When tracking, a lot of players overreact to direction changes. Instead of staying with the target, they flick past it and wait for it to come back. And if the target changes direction again before that happens, you're stuck chasing. In a real game, that means lost bullets and more time off target while your opponent is shooting. The fix is to keep your crosshair slightly behind the target rather than trying to lead it. It sounds counterintuitive, but it gives you more time to react when it changes direction, and you stay on target more consistently. When a direction change happens, stay relaxed and match the speed instead of reacting hard to it. Last for the common, training without a plan. More players are getting intentional about practice these days, doing benchmarks or running playlists built around their weak points. But a lot of people still open Aimlabs and play whatever's popular. That's better than nothing, but it's not very efficient and it doesn't always transfer to your actual games doing it that way. If you don't know where to start, benchmarks is the answer. It tests you across multiple areas and gives you a clear picture of where you actually stand. We have a full guide on benchmarks in the link below. Those are the common ones. Now let's get into a few more specific mistakes that don't apply to everyone, but if they do apply to you, they might be the thing that's been quietly limiting you. The first one, practicing without any real pressure on yourself. This happens when you're too focused on form, not paying attention to scores, or you're just going through the motions. And it feels productive because you're still doing the reps. But if you're never pushing your limits, your progress slows down a lot. Once you're consistently hitting around 85% accuracy on tasks with static or predictable targets, start pushing for speed. On evasive targets, 60% is your cue to push. And remember, no athlete got faster by running at a pace they were already comfortable with. You have to push to improve. In some cases, it's not even your aim that's the problem. It's your reaction time. There are two sides to this. Aiming reaction is how fast you start moving toward a target once it appears. Clicking reaction time is how quickly you pull the trigger once you're on it. Both can be a bottleneck independently. If your aiming reaction is the issue, focus on single target reactive scenarios, such as KA reflex shot. If your click timing is off, moving click tasks like headshot Valorant will help with that. And the last one is off-center discomfort. Some players don't use their full mouse space, and others lose control once their mouse drifts far from center. So they constantly lift and recenter, which causes delayed reactions mid-fight, faster arm fatigue, and less accuracy on the edges of their pad. To work on this, try static click, with your attention on keeping your mouse in contact with the pad the whole time, while practicing accuracy on targets at the far edges. If you can hit the targets at the edges of the screen without your mouse ever getting close to the edges of your pad, lower your sensitivity temporarily so your mouse has to travel there and you can actually put in the reps. Those are all the mistakes we're covering today. If you've dealt with something we didn't mention, tell us in the comments. And if any of this helped, subscribe. See you in the next one.